Moving on, which one of the following groups of animals belong to the category of endangered species? Now, before I even find the answer to this question, I want you to just take a look at this. And it's basically UPSC telling you, see, we know all of these species. It's all there in our field of vision. So, you better get prepared on any or all of these. Why? Because any year we can bring back any of these. It will be like the comeback of any of these species. Understand? So, just keep this pointer in your mind. Most people say UPSC is very unpredictable. But once you sit with UPSC previous year questions, you would just be like, what? Who said this is unpredictable? Why? Because most of the times when it comes to at least some of the areas, I'm not saying you can predict all the 100 questions in the paper, but at least a large questions that would be a little bit of push for you to pass the exam, it can be learnt in this manner. And this question is a perfect example of that. You will now see afterwards, after discussing this question, the same species get repeated in different questions. Okay, so here they are asking which one of the following is an endangered species. The first one, let's look at all the different ones that are there. And out of these itself, I can tell you the important ones also. So there is something called as your Great Indian Bustard, very important. Then musk deer, okay. Red panda, important. Asiatic wild ass, we just discussed some time ago about it, okay. And now let's keep that there. Let's look at the other options also. Next one is Kashmir stag, cheetal, blue bull and Great Indian Bustard. Third one is snow leopard, swamp deer, rhesus monkey and sarus crane. Fourth one is lion-tailed macaque, blue bull, Hanuman langur and cheetal. You know what they've done over here? In each one, they've put one species which is like really endangered. I'll tell you the ones which are there. Okay. So, for example, if you look at the last category, lion-tailed macaque is endangered. If you look at the third one, snow leopard is endangered. If you look at the third one, the second one, Great Indian Bustard is endangered. But then when you look at the first one, you will see you have the Great Indian Bustard, you have the musk deer, you have the red panda and the Asiatic wild ass that I just told you, which are all endangered. So then what happens? Here is where it changes. The others do have one endangered species, but the entire list is not completely endangered. So the answer to this question is your A. Okay, but that doesn't end it there. Let's understand what all we need to know about this. Let's first take the Great Indian Bustard because we need to know in detail about that specific species. The Great Indian Bustard belongs to a group of animals or birds called as your floricans. You must have heard about another florican called as your Bengal florican. Unfortunately, even that one is endangered. You can keep that in your mind. Anyway, so what happens over here is when it comes to this Great Indian Bustard, over the time, its population has reduced so drastically that you've had several conservation measures. You have had a Govardhan. It's otherwise in certain times it's called as the Govardhan bird also. So they've tried to conserve that through your community activities. They at one point they did even consider giving it the status of your national animal. It missed out with the tiger on very minor differences. So then all of these things were thought of. Rajasthan had even made this animal as its state bird. Okay. Rajasthan had even made it as its state bird. Okay. So now when it comes to the Great Indian Bustard, the condition of it right now is critically endangered. One more important reason why we are discussing about this in a little bit detail this time is because a few years back, what also happened is there was a proposal. There is an international convention called as your Bonn Convention. And Bonn Convention primarily deals with migratory species. Okay, everything about the migratory species, the entire life cycle about it, as in like where is it going, where is its breeding, where is its conservation activities, all of these things are done or checked in your migratory Bond Convention. In the 13th Bond Convention meeting, they decided and they have put 3 major Indian species in the Appendix 1 of it. Okay, so this is also an important fact. Which are the 3 major species? One was the Great Indian Bustard. Next one was its very friendly cousin, which is the Bengal Florican. And the third one was your Asiatic lion. Okay, all 3 of them were put under your convention on your migratory species. Okay, now moving a little bit on the next species in this list, you have the musk deer. Just want you to get reminded, musk deer has a very specific kind of a hormone released from its body, and that is why the scent around it is super important. But remember, not all genders of musk deer give out that kind of a scent. It's only the male musk deer that gives out its scent, and because of that itself, this is the animal that keeps getting hunted and poached and everything, thereby reducing its population. The next important species that I want to discuss with you is your red panda. Okay, so red panda, now when it comes to the red panda, again, there's a very interesting story about the red panda. Why? Because the red panda is now considered to be the state animal of Sikkim. But not just in Sikkim, red panda is seen in Arunachal, in Assam, in a large majority of your northeastern states, you do see the red panda. Now, the interesting fact is when we study environment, we learn about the idea that whenever any kind of geographical barriers come between species, it can be a normal species, can be one common species itself. But what happens is this geographical barrier will lead to a lot of changes in both these different species that got separated. Like, let's take for example the red panda. They were all living in one area. Maybe there's some geographical activity that has happened. There's a river changing its course and flowing through. That separates this one group of red panda on one side of the river and the other side of the river. Naturally, what happens is their eating patterns, their breeding patterns, everything start changing accordingly. Over the period of time, this geographical barrier would have caused so many changes in both of these category of animals, so much so that they would now be 2 totally separate species. I'm not saying it'll be will be a panda and a lion. I'm saying that earlier they were all red panda. Now it might be an Indian red panda and some other kind of a red panda. Why? Because it would have caused so many changes in between them, so much so that they might not even mate with each other. Okay. So understand, certain geographical barriers can cause something called as speciation. The reason why I'm telling you all the story when it comes to the red panda is because red panda is one species in India that we can see this speciation in a clear manner. There is a river called as your Siang River, and the Siang River has separated the red pandas in the Indian side and the red pandas in the China side. So now when you look at it, there is a clear marked difference between the red pandas that you see on both of these things. They were all originally in one group itself, but now the Siang, not when I'm saying now, in the gradual movement of history, the Siang River has come between them and now they have evolved into 2 completely different subspecies of the red panda. Okay. Now again, when you look at red panda as a whole, even on the Indian side, for its fur and everything, it is poached, and that is why that is put into that category. The answer to this question is A only, but if you look at all the other species over there, one other major species that I do consider important from the rest of it, we talked a little bit about the lion-tailed macaque. Out of the other ones, it is your Kashmir stag. So when I'm saying Kashmir stag, I want you to understand it's otherwise also called as your Hangul. That's the local name. And Hangul is the state animal of your J&K region. Used to be the state animal. Now, because the states have also been separated, that's not the situation right now. It doesn't give, they don't give the tag state animal. Hangul is also a critically endangered one. Here, so the problem is, out of the B, Kashmir's tag is critically endangered. Great Indian bustard is critically endangered. But this blue bull and chital, they are absolutely near threatened organisms. So, they are not fully in the category of endangered species. Okay. Coming back to this over here, this is critically endangered, your Hangul. And also, one major area where their large number of population is therein is your Dhachi Gum. Okay, near Dhachi Gum National Park, you do see large populations of your Kashmir stag.